If you're looking to buy a townhouse in Surrey, Langley, Delta, or anywhere nearby, make sure to watch this video till the end because we'll talk about everything that you need to know. Townhouses in the Fraser Valley pretty much start from $500,000, and those are typically the ones that are 1970s built, and except very few handful complexes, most of the townhouse complexes have huge problems, which are the 1970s, early 1980s built. There's a reason they are cheap. Most of these older complexes have been deferring a lot of maintenance for the last 10 years, and if you are one of the unlucky buyers who buys into the 70s built complex and that specific complex has been deferring, let's say roof, windows, parking, balconies, there's pretty much like 50 big ticket items that could cost you pretty much anywhere from like $5,000 to upwards of $50,000 as a special levy. So make sure do not buy a 70s built complex without reading STAR documents. My personal recommendation would be to at least, if your budget is, let's say, $550,000 and you must buy a 2 or 3 bedroom townhouse, maybe look into a 3 bedroom condo. And let's say a typical build, like a 2015 built high-rise or low-rise building, you could still get a 3 bedroom, like a normal decent size 1,000 square feet condo instead of buying an older 1970s townhouse. If your budget is $650,000 to $700,000, you could easily get a 2-bed, 2-bath, proper 1,100-ish square feet townhouse, a 3-story typical townhouse anywhere in Surrey, Langley. And if your budget is $700,000 to $800,000, you can easily get a 3-bedroom townhouse, a typical 3-bedroom, 2 or 2.5 bathroom townhouse anywhere in Surrey, Langley. Depends on the age, the location, the square feet. The bigger, the newer it will be, the higher the price point. That was, of course, the general overview, but now let's talk about the specifics. This is a typical 3-bed, 2.5 bath, early 2005 built, 1,400 square feet townhouse with a tandem garage. Assuming this one sells at, say, $820,000. Let's look at what exactly determines the price and how to adjust the price based on some specific factors. Now, since your benchmark townhouse is selling at $820,000, assuming the same complex, there's another townhouse without the main level powder room. So one half bathroom is missing from the same exact townhouse. I would personally pay anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 less for the same exact square feet, same exact complex, similar sort of townhouse, but $20,000 to $30,000 lesser if it does not have a powder room on the main level. And sometimes there's townhouse units which are marketed as 3-bedroom townhouses, but in actuality, the 3rd bedroom is behind the garage. So there's only 2 bedrooms upstairs, main level, kitchen, living, dining, and the garage, and then there's a bedroom behind the garage. So even though those are 3-bedroom, but those are not very practically viable to live in. So I would personally pay $30,000 to $50,000 less for the same exact townhouse with the 3 bedrooms upstairs versus the 2-bedroom plus the 3rd bedroom behind the garage. And if a townhouse has side-by-side parking instead of the tandem double garage, I would personally pay anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000 more, just because it looks a lot wider than the tandem garage townhouse. Of course, we're talking about the same square feet here. And the next townhouses we'll talk about are the townhouses which are within a high-rise strata complex. So there's usually a townhouse complex which only has townhouses, and sometimes there's a high-rise building which usually has some like 3 to 6 townhouses below and on the side of the high-rise building. Usually the ones which are within the high-rise complex tend to have a lot higher strata fees. Even though they may be within a very walkable community, usually it's very close to a SkyTrain station, but because the strata fee is a lot higher compared to just a typical townhouse within just a townhouse complex, usually those with the higher strata fees tend to sell anywhere from $50,000 to $70,000 lesser for the same square feet, for the same age built. And for the next ones, let's talk about the 2-story townhouses. So for a detached house, a 3-story house versus a 2-story house, the 3-story of course sells for a lot higher, but in a townhouse, if it's a 2-story, they usually tend to sell for a higher price compared to the 3-story, like a typical townhouse. The reason is, of course, you don't have to walk up every time. You can literally, usually a garage, and you can just park your car in the garage and walk right to the main living and the kitchen area, and of course the bedrooms are still upstairs. But those ones typically are then in the more mature neighborhoods like Walnut Grove or Newton or some Fleetwood. They typically tend to sell for anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 more. Of course, those are usually 90s built townhouses. So of course, if you're comparing apples to apples, so a 90s built 3-story versus a 90s built 2-story, same square feet, similar neighborhood, $40,000 to $60,000 more for the 2-story townhouse. And for the next factor, let's talk about the townhouse units with an age restriction. So there's some very few complexes left now which have 55 or plus age restriction, and those ones typically sell anywhere from 50 upwards of $100,000 less for the same exact square feet, same everything, without the age restriction. And of course, the reason being there's a lot less number of potential buyers for age restricted townhouse complexes. Next is corner units versus inside units. So of course, the corner unit would have windows on 3 sides versus inside unit would only have windows on the front and the back. Usually it depends on exactly how many windows there are on the side, and depends on what the windows actually facing. If it says it's a corner unit and sometimes the window is literally facing another townhouse, there's only like a parkade between one building and the next. Usually those are not a much superior product, but if it's a corner unit on an end unit and it's facing, let's say, greenery, and there's no other unit looking directly into the townhouse unit, typically those tend to sell anywhere from $35,000 to $45,000 more. And if a townhouse unit is backing onto or faces a busy street, depending on how busy the street is and how much traffic noise there is, they usually tend to sell anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 less compared to the normal quiet townhouses. Now let's talk about amenities. Usually there's a party room in most complexes that doesn't really add a lot of value, but if a townhouse complex has a swimming pool and like a hot tub, that could add anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000 in every unit in that complex compared to the same exact square feet and same exact age year built in another complex. Now let's talk about finishes. Usually there's laminate or granite countertops or quartz countertop. Of course, depends on what year it was built in. The early 2000s, most townhouse complexes have just laminate countertops. 2010 to 2016, there was granite era, and then 2016 to now, it's all quartz. It started as black quartz, nowadays it's all just white quartz. The newer the finishes are, you can tend to pay anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 more for the finishes. And some units have carpet, and some have vinyl or hardwood or a laminate flooring. Depends on how bad the carpet is. Usually, if you need to change carpets, like anywhere from $4 to $5 per square feet. So a typical, let's say for just upstairs, including the stairs, for a typical 500 or 700 square feet upstairs plus the stairs, you can tend to spend anywhere from $2,800 to like $3,000. But if you pay that amount, let's say if you're a seller and you pay the amount to change the carpet to a laminate, you can expect an additional $10,000 to $12,000 just because the buyer doesn't have to deal with replacing the carpet. And finally, let's talk about the 4-bedroom townhouses. There's 2 types of 4-bedroom townhouses. Ones which have 4 bedrooms all upstairs, and other ones which have 3 bedrooms upstairs but 1 full bedroom and a bathroom and a separate entrance behind the garage. So even though it's legally not permitted to rent out any part of your townhouse in most complexes, some people do it anyway, and they are usually going anywhere from $900 to $1,000 per that 1 bedroom and the bathroom with the separate entrance. And those townhouses which have this option to rent out, even though it's legally not permitted, you should not do it, they typically tend to sell anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 more compared to the same exact square feet of the other 4-bedroom townhouses. Now let's talk about the numbers. Say our benchmark townhouse, which is $820,000, and you pay 20% down for the remaining $656,000 mortgage at today's around 5% interest rate for the 30-year amortization. You can expect to pay around $3,500. Of course, then there's strata, typically let's say it's $350. Usually there's insurance. say anywhere from $150 to $200. Of course, you have to pay the utilities, which are another $200, and Wi-Fi and just all the other small maintenance stuff, let's say $70 to $100. So at the end of the day, for a typical 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, 2005 built townhouse, you can expect to pay anywhere from $4,200 to $4,300 per month. And in order to live a comfortable life, it's best to keep your household expenses below 39% of your income. So let's say in order to afford a $4,300 per month mortgage plus all the utilities, everything, you need to make around $130,000 to $135,000 per year. Of course, that's your household income. So you and your spouse, if you're earning $65,000 each, then you can comfortably afford a typical 3-bed, 2.5-bath, 20-year-old townhouse anywhere in Surrey, Langley, Delta.